ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, particularly friends of the Driven Not Hidden Collective. So we're here, Andy and I,
G'day.
at the showroom at Harbour Cars down in Chichester, and we're going to be speaking to Sam from the team shortly, and a couple of other people from around the industry. We always enjoy doing this video at this time of year, where you get to the end of the calendar and then look ahead
See
to
what's
next
happened.
year. Yeah. Where are we at? Where's the market, really? It's always really good to touch base with the people that are involved in this industry day to day. And get their insight, really. It's always invaluable. So we're going to be asking 3 questions today to our 3 different specialists. Number 1 is what was the greatest success story of 2024? Then we're going to be asking about opportunity for 2025. What opportunity lies ahead? And then lastly,
The big one, I think, which is what would they actually put their own money into?
we'll start with Sam at Harbour Cars. Here's what he had to say. Sam, thanks for having us here at Harbour Cars to discuss
Thanks for popping down.
the marketplace into 2025. So before we go on to 2025, first of all, what do you and the team here at Harbour Cars think is the greatest success story of 2024?
I think we've been particularly successful this year with the 991 products. They've been quite hard to get. I think that's been throughout the year they have been. And as soon as we've got them, they've gone pretty quickly. So
Okay.
quite fortunate at the moment. We've got a couple, and another one being prepared, and another one coming in shortly. So we do snap them up pretty quickly.
Okay, is that Gen 1 and Gen 2 equally as
both
popular?
generations? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the Gen 1 has always been, over the last 4 or 5 years, really popular purchase for people. But I think the Gen 2 now is, since the 992s come out, that's really had a following as well. So,
Okay, interesting.
yeah.
And is that like just the Carrera models, including GTS as well, or turbos as well, or?
Carrera and the GTS models. Funnily enough, we haven't had as many of the Gen 2 turbos. Not because we've not looked to buy them, but just they've not been offered or not found the right ones.
It's quite a nice success story, actually, because 991s, and obviously going back 10 years when they were new, they were deemed as so big, and the 997 could be the sweet spot of the 911 range. But actually, I think, especially from what you're saying and what we've heard elsewhere, is that's a really popular generation of 911, the 991.
Definitely, and I think what you're saying about size, obviously, as soon as the 992s come out, you put a 991 next to it, and actually it's probably the same effect as the 991 to 997. It does look a lot smaller. And not to say that 997's not been a popular car this year, it has been. But again, finding the right car with the right spec and right history, that's the problem.
Is the challenge, yeah.
And,
I know you guys as well, you buy your own stock.
Yeah.
And it's important to point that out, because you put your money where your mouth is. So when it comes to finding good cars, you've got a lot riding on it.
Yeah,
financially.
definitely.
So going into 2025, then the marketplace as it is currently, what opportunity do you see for consumers and for enthusiasts?
I think the 981 product is something we always do very well out of, and actually funny enough, the 2.7s had a little bit more of a following of late when they've got the spec on them. The manual's always quite a nice car, because you can rev them up a bit more and more fun in them. So that's good. Again, 997's a good place to be.
Okay.
That's probably a good thing sort of going into 2025 to look for. Then it'll be interesting to see what happens with sort of us as a specialist in comparison to sort of the main dealers and franchises. I think we'll probably get a bit more footfall coming through with how the main dealers are going with the electric vehicles now. So that'll be interesting to see.
All right, Sam, nice. Yeah, so look, we'll finish there and say Harbour hat off in a way. Your own kind of personal hat on. Where would you be putting your money? What would you be buying in 2025?
Probably a bus pass. What would I love the 981.
Yeah.
Okay. I always have. If there's a choice of a car to sort of take away at the weekend, and it would be a 981. I think they give you so much enjoyment out of driving it. You haven't got to push the limits on sort of performance. You can just potter around within the speed limit and have fun. Money, no objects, probably be probably be a GTS. I probably wouldn't go to the likes of a GT4 for everyday use.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably a GTS, probably a manual for me, because we drive so many PDKs. It's quite nice to get something a little bit different, and manual GTS with all the bells and whistles. On it.
Yeah. A bit like that car that we had on the video a couple of weeks ago.
The white one. Yeah,
that sounded like a prime candidate.
Yes, that would have been. Yes,
yeah. It's quite nice to and refreshing actually that like you haven't gone for a 911. Obviously, we all know how great they are. We go on about them so much on this channel, but yes, it's nice to hear someone pitch in for the Cayman. 20 years old next year as well. That platform.
Definitely.
So
hopefully,
you're shining a light early doors on the merits.
Yeah. I mean, even going back to sort of other options would be going back to 987. I mean, still a lot of car, a lot of fun to have.
All right, Sam. Well, look, that's fantastic. Thanks for chatting to everybody, and imparting your wisdom on everyone here for Nineworks TV. And I'm sure we'll see you later on in the year for some more content.
Brilliant. Yeah, thanks, Lee.
What do you think is the greatest success story of 2024 for the Porsche marketplace?
Okay, greatest success story. What do you think, Danny?
I think it's got to be how solid this year's been in terms of these cars have held up really well in the marketplace. There's not been all that much depreciation. It's not been like 23 was the back end of 23. So I think, Porsche as a brand's been very, very strong, very solid residually, and I would say that's probably the greatest success story of this year.
Yeah, I would agree with that. With the as obviously the lull of the depreciation that hit us was September to December last year, and obviously when you get those huge falls, you get a lot of negativity afterwards. But actually, when prices comes down across whatever asset classes, they usually take the damage and then they stagnate. And I think that's completely happened. And especially with the 992, they dropped a huge amount. Obviously, the Turbo S was what everyone was shouting about last year, and we did say actually on that 140,000 when they bottom out at that it was a good time to buy them, and they are around that at the moment. So if you'd have gone and bought one, then you would have had a free year of motoring. So it is making that decision when everyone else is so fearful. And then I would say also what's great is what we deal in, let's say the 991s and the 997s, percentage-wise, and actually how much they've depreciated, even with last year's drop. It hasn't been tremendous, has it?
That's it. And this year, I would say probably the low mileage, nice spec cars. If anything, we've seen them creep up this year. I think those 991s and last of the 997.2s as well. Those DFI engine cars, NA cars. They've stayed really strong, if not started to creep forward, which is great news.
Yeah, and I'd say another thing with the 911 owner, something to celebrate, is that part of the challenges this year with the market have been, obviously, Danny, you dealing with the sales, is when people's cars are not worth what they pay for them and they've got this finance agreement. It doesn't really tend to happen with 911s, as it's more other marks. Other marks, Mercedes, G-Wagons, that type of things. So, I think that's a celebration of Porsche 911.
Going into 2025, what trends are you seeing across the marketplace, if any?
Do you think the 992 will become a bit more popular now the residuals have come back down?
I think those early 992s, 19s, 20-plate cars, you might see...
They're becoming more a bit, attractive now, aren't they, with the price that they're at?
Yeah, that's it. And I think probably the 992 will become a more... Because it's coming very close in price to 991.2.
Yeah.
So I think the popularity of that will soar next year, as opposed to people wanting to buy 991.2s. Because the technology, etc., will be a step above. The pricing won't be a million miles away between the two. So
because obviously you've seen the Gen 1s, 991s, they've crept up, and I'd probably see them overtaking, and then probably... It's just, what would you... If you're going to go from the 991.1 and the 992 comes down, you'd probably go for the 992, wouldn't you?
That's what people want as well, don't they? If you want the old school feel, drive, sound, you're going to buy a 991.1.
Yeah.
If you want the technology side of the car, you're probably want to buy a 992. So I think as those values of 992s come down, they probably will start overtaking 991.2s in terms of sales and how quickly they sell.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay. Any other sentiments to add into that category, that segment?
For 2025?
Yeah.
I just see 991.1, 997.2s continuing to
they'll
be
maintain.
really strong going forward.
Yeah, 997 even becoming just more and more, as it has done, I think, this year, becoming more of a collector's piece.
Do you know one car I think I've seen this year, which I think is a really special car, is that 997.2 Carrera manual.
Yeah,
the base car, the 3.6.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that car is just a delight to drive.
I really think that 997's .2s will just replicate what the 993s did, I think. You know, those cars, when we did the tour at the end of last year now, was it last year, the Tony Hatter one? You know, you'll see, you know, your manual 4Ss and whatever, and manual Carrera S's that will be worth. I think they'll do exactly the same, because they are just made in such few numbers and just desirable, beautiful, timeless, enjoyable cars, aren't they? So
We've just sold that macadamia with cocoa manual with the little wheels.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like a vintage 911 now.
Yeah.
But then you get in it and the driving experience. And I think I said to you last time you were here and we were at the lake, the cars with those little wheels, the 18s and the manual and that 3.6, the way it goes down a British B road, it's like Porsche developed that car for a British B road. I went, that's the car. There you go and enjoy that.
So we're in, Danny. Really.
That's it. God, I might have another one at this rate.
That's awesome. And I guess, you know, the DFI engine more reliable than the M97 as well, which could play into it. So, okay, grand. So that might answer the question slightly, especially for you, Danny. But yeah, to finish, you know, what would you be buying with your own money right now?
What would I be buying with my own money? Depends how long I'm going to keep it for. What's the reason I'm buying? I suppose just to go out and enjoy.
Yeah, or anything you think.
For a daily, I'd love to enjoy. I'd like a 991 C4S, because you could drive it all. I just feel very comfortable driving that all year round. A GTS as well. 991.1, I'd go for the PDK because of traffic. Longer term, if I was to sit in something for 10 years, looking for just to, you know, take it out once a year to a car show, I still think the 997 GT3 RS manual.
4 litres car, isn't it?
Well, I love those, but even the manuals, you know, just regular RSs. You don't get those anymore, do you? With them all being PDK, so.
For me, it would have to be 991.2 GT3 Touring, black, probably with the houndstooth inserts and the buckets. Obviously, it's a manual.
Yeah.
It just doesn't get better than that car. Not that I've thought about it at all.
That would be a fantastic one for a European tour, wouldn't it?
Oh,
for engagement, fun, and
even when we drive, we have a few of those 991 Gen 2 GT3 manuals. And I jump in my 991S and it's a manual and I drive it. I love it. I think it gives you so much engagement and feedback. And then my heart is always crushed whenever I drive one of those 991.2 GT3 manuals. I'm like, that's the car. It's something about the feedback. And I actually think, I know last time we spoke, I was like, rear axle steer doesn't really matter. And I actually do think the rear axle steer on 991.2 GT3s at really low speed, the feeling the chassis gives you at lower speed, I don't really necessarily think at higher speed the feeling is any different, but it's just the feedback from that car at lower speeds that makes it so special.
You just feel like you're in a complete monster, don't you, in a GT3.
And the noise, the 4 litre, the noise it makes is just, it's glorious. 9,000 RPM, manual gearbox, 500 horsepower, it just doesn't get any better.
Yeah.
We need to get looking for one for you.
He's addicted to his own stock.
I have to say, what I really like about your answers is you've answered there as enthusiasts.
Yeah.
It's like, it's really nice to have that enthusiasm.
I do think, but you have to, because it depends what you're looking for. Even investment follows what the enthusiast wants, and obviously the enthusiast likes what's special about the cars and what makes them unique, and they kind of, you know, compensate each other and help the investment values along the way. So,
last up, we're heading to Phil Raby, where the first question is, what does he think is the success story of 2024?
I think the big story in 2024 were 3.4 litre 996s. We've sold a lot of them, and people just want them. over and above the 3.6 litre 996. I think it's very much become a modern classic. It's a proper 911 to drive. They're affordable. It's an affordable 911 for about 20 grand. And I think people love the look of them. And I think they prefer the look of the Friday lights to the later lights. If you've driven an older air-cooled 911, you get a 996 and you know you're in a 911. And it does feel small and compact and fun.
Where do you see the opportunity for 2025?
Well, I'm quite excited by the 991. They're getting quite affordable. You can pick up a decent one for about 40 grand plus, and you're getting a great car for the money. It's funny, when they were new, I kind of thought, they're too big and refined to be a 911.
Yes, yeah.
But I'm a bit strange. I do quite like Porsches when they become older, and they are great cars. It's a different experience to a 996 or a 997.
Yeah.
It is more refined. The quality, the interior finish is gone up a notch. You got a bit more space. It's more of a grand tour in many ways.
Yes, yeah.
But still a lot of fun. And I think we'll be seeing more of them as time goes on.
Yeah.
So definitely one to look out for.
I guess the question, Phil, is what would you buy?
I would buy
yourself, I guess.
I would buy a 991 GTS. I've always been a big fan of GTSs, whatever it is, apart from potentially the 928 GTS. But Macans, Cayenne, 911s, GTSs just tick a lot of boxes.
Yeah.
And I think the 991 GTS would be a great all-rounder.
You're really coming around to the 991.
I know.
Then. Yeah.
Yeah, I must be getting old. But no, the 997 GTS is a great car.
Yeah.
With the 991, you've got a bit more refinement, a bit more modern, and the handling is spot on, and not as extreme as a GT3. So it's a car you could use every day.
Excellent.
The other thing I might put my money into is a 924 Turbo. Well, actually, I already have done. We've got one floating around here somewhere.
Yeah.
I think there's only 100 left in the country, and most of them are in pretty poor condition. So we got one sitting as a project, which one day we'll get around to doing.
Yeah, yeah.
I keep saying that one day they'll be worth something because it's a Porsche with a turbo badge.
Absolutely. Lee drove one of those, didn't he, not so long ago?
That was a Carrera GT.
Oh, it was,
yeah,
wasn't it?
that was next level.
Yeah.
That's a fabulous car.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, definitely worth watching Lee's video on that.
Cool. So they were our three specialists. Really interesting to get that insight. Should we finish? We'll ask each other those questions, really.
Oh, that's on the spot, isn't it?
It is on the spot. So, what do you think was like the greatest success story in the marketplace for 2024?
I think probably for me is opened my eyes to Caymans and Boxsters this year.
Okay.
I've really sort of, have come into my line of sight, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah. And that seems to, from the guys that we've spoken to, that seems to ring true as well.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
How about you?
So I think where the value, and I've said this a couple of times on the podcast, where the value of the new stuff, or the price of the new stuff has skyrocketed, I think it's created this like almost vacuum behind it.
Very true.
Of approved stuff, used stuff that just looks like incredible value.
Yeah.
And for me at the moment, particularly in that 50k to 75k wedge, that bracket, there's so much choice.
Yeah.
And in a variety of ways, for that same money, you can go turbo or GT3 or Cayman Boxster, Spider. There's so many choices in there, and they're all very different types of Porsche sports cars.
Yeah.
So I think for choice, the consumer, it's never looked so good in that way relative to the value of the new stuff. 2025, I'll just jump in on that for what I think is an opportunity for 2025. I'm now looking at the original GT4, the 981 GT4. I mean, they now are like mid-60s, and that's for a good one, I want to clarify. A really good example, mid-60s. That's a GT product, a modern GT product.
Yeah.
That's a great size, dynamically is so awesome. And, we've always waxed lyrical about Carrera T's, right?
Yeah.
I mean, now a GT4 is the same,
if not less,
same
isn't
money, as a Carrera T, and I'm going, that's a GT product there.
Yeah.
So I think that for me is a
That's
car.
where you're at.
There's real opportunity there to get into a modern GT product for Carrera T money.
I think it was really interesting Phil's take on 996. So the early 3.4 996 really sort of kicking off for him, as it were. I think that's going to continue into 2025. I think there's so much hysteria
Really? Yeah.
You know, everybody, I don't know, the younger generation seem to be really like seeing that as, I guess that they're coming into their age, aren't they? They're that generation that were kids when they came out are now becoming people that can afford to buy a Porsche, and
Yeah.
So I just see that continuing.
Love that. Can I just say as well, this is Andy fluffing the 996.
I'm not fluffing.
Not me. Yeah. That's really cool, man. Yeah.
I see that.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. Where would you put your money then for 2025?
Where would I put my money this 2025? It always comes back to the 930 Turbo for me, mate.
Really? Yeah.
I'm still stuck back there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
How
very
about you?
nice. I think if I was in the market for something like that, I'm looking at that GT4 and just going, that's tremendous value. Tremendous value. I'm also looking at 997 GT3s, Gen 1 and Gen 2. I think the right size, Metzger engine, a car that you know, there's faster stuff for track, but it still is a good track car. But for touring, I love everything about that. It's definitely more resolved as a proposition than a 996 GT3 equivalent.
Mm-hmm.
So I in fact I'd probably go
Suits
for
you.
that then. Yeah, I think that's where I'd like to put my money. I just think they look better and better. And again, the money where they're at, 70s, 80s. That's a lot of iconic quintessential 911 for that cash. So.
Let's see how well 2025
I
goes.
know, yeah, fingers crossed. So look, don't forget to sign up to 9works. And but yes, thank you for your support to everybody in 2024 and going into 2025. It does mean a lot to Andy and I, and Max as well, our third amigo for the podcast. We'll see you in another video soon. Thanks to all our experts for their insight. And very best wishes for 2025 and beyond.
Happy New Year.